Hello everybody, welcome to C and Data Structures training session. In this session we are going to learn about file IO. So in this session we will be learning what is file and why files are used in C. What are the operations that we can perform on file. Then we will be learning about open, close, read, write operations on file, and we will be doing some examples at the end. So what is a file? So a file is used for data persistence. So if you want to store some data into memory and use the data for future use, you need to use a file. Files are stored in your permanent memory location, which is your hard disk. To read a file, you need to uh, do some operations on the file. For example, you need to locate where your file is in your hard disk and provide the file path so that you can read it. Functions to handle file IO operations in C. Uh, what all functions we can do? We can create a new file. We can open an existing file. We can read and write on an existing file, and we can close an existing file. So to do a file operation in a particular file, we have to know the absolute path of the file where it is stored in our memory. Then only we can perform the file operation. File pointer is needed to communicate between file and program. So to do any operation in a file, we need to have a pointer of type file. So file is a keyword, and we need to have a pointer of type file to do file operations. This pointer will help us out in doing data manipulation in the file. So all the operations like creating a file, opening a file, reading from a file and closing a file, we can perform all these operations through file pointer. So let's see how to open a file using C program. To open a file, fopen function is used. So there is a function provided by C which is called fopen. We can use that, which returns a file pointer. So fopen returns a file pointer. Once file is opened, the file pointer is used to let compiler perform input-output operations in the file. So once we get the file pointer, any operation that we will be performing in the file pointer will be reflected in the file. So that is why we use a file pointer. The syntax of this function, fopen function, is like this. It requires a constant character pointer file name. A file name is nothing but an absolute path of a file that we want to operate. Anything that we want to operate, we need to have an absolute path and a mode of operation, like it in what mode we can operate that file. For example, we want operations in a read only mode or write only mode, or read write append, or there are various modes in which we can perform operations on file. These are the modes in which file operations can be performed. So R stands for read only mode, so we cannot do any other operation other than reading. W stands for write operations. A is for appending. R plus is open for reading and writing, which is started at the beginning. W plus opens for reading and writing, which is like overriding a file. A plus appends for reading and writing, appending if file exists. Okay. So these are the various modes. It depends upon what we need. We need to specify the mode. For closing a file, we need to use fclose function. So file should be closed after read write operation is done. Any operation that is performed on a file, if we are done with it, we should close the file. We can close the file using fclose function and giving a file pointer to it. so that file can be safely closed and it can be safely transferred to the secondary memory from primary memory. fclose function returns 0 on success, or EOF if there is any error while closing the file. So if you are performing an fclose function and you get a return value as 0, you know that okay, your file is closed. If you don't get 0 or you get EOF, EOF stands for end of file. Generally, EOF is a keyword that we can use. So if we get EOF while closing a file, that means there is some error while closing a file. We should debug like what happens, or is there anything somebody else is also using that file, so that or any other program or any other process is using that file, then only we can get EOF error. This function actually flushes any data still pending on the buffer to a file, closes the file and releases any memory used for the file. So what the fclose function does is, suppose if there is any pending operation which is there in the file, it flushes out the data for that. Like, it don't store the file stream or a stream of data for that file. It flushes out every data, or whatever buffer we have allocated for that file. If it flushes out that buffer, it closes the file and release any memory which is used for the file. So any memory which is used for the file, like file pointer or anything else, it just releases that memory back to the system. EOF is a constant defined in header file stdio.h. So any operation that we need to do, and if we want EOF to be used, we need to include this header file. Reading from a file. So reading from a file can be done in different ways. There are various methods provided in C to read from a file, and each method has a specific purpose. So it depends upon our need. What is our need? Based on our need, we can use a particular function. So first we see what is a getC function. A getC function reads a character from an input file referenced by a file pointer. So a getC reads the file character by character, each character at a time. The return value of character is read, or in case of any error, it returns end of file, EOF. So fgetC function will just continue to read the file character by character, and once it reaches to the end of the file, it gives us or it returns EOF value, so that we can know that okay, we are done with file reading and we can do some operation or close the file. To read a string from a file, we use getS function, fgetS. So this is the syntax of fgetS function. So fgetS function requires a character pointer, which is nothing but a string in C. Number of bytes that we want to use, number of characters that we want to use, like buffer size. It's nothing but a buffer size. A buffer size means number of characters that we want to use in this character buffer or a character array, and a file pointer. So the function getS reads up to n-1 characters from the input. So here we have provided n, that means it reads 0 to n-1 characters of the input stream referenced by file pointer. It copies the read string into the buffer. So whatever it read, it copies this into the character array, appending a null character to terminate the string. So once it is done with reading n-1 characters, it appends a null character, and then we can read the file. So that's how we can use fgetS. There is one more function called fscanf. which we can use to read from the file. So fscanf is used function to read string from a file, but it stops reading after the first space character is encountered. So fscanf reads one string at a time. So it ends once it finds any space or tab or anything which is not a character uh, from in a file. So it has different purpose. Suppose we don't know what is the size of a string, and we want to use string by string. We can use fgetS function. If you want to use the buffered approach, we can use fgetS function. If you want to read character by character, we can use fgetC function. So there are various ways where we can do read operation from file, and it depends upon our need, like what is the requirement of our program, and based on our requirement, we can finalize which method we want to use. Writing from a file or writing into a file, a function fputs is used to write into a file. So fputs writes a string to a file or string to a output stream referenced by a file pointer. It returns a non-negative value on success, or else it returns end of file in case of any error. So if any positive value is returned by fputs function, that means we are successful in writing our data to the file pointer. If we get any error, then we will be getting a negative value or EOF. So fprintf is also used to write data into a file. Fprintf function is used to write a string into a file. So what is the syntax of fprintf function? It requires a file pointer, a character array, in which format we want to write the data into a file. Okay, so we need to specify all the formats and all so that we can write into a file using fprintf. So this is the very simple program to read and write from a file. I have used conio.h here, which because we are using getChar function and getC function, so that's why I have used this header file. So let's go through this program. First we are declaring a file pointer and a character. Then we are opening a file. So we are using fopen to open a file. We are giving a file name 1.txt. If we don't specify the absolute path, then the compiler takes that your file is stored in same path where your .c file is stored. So in this case 1.txt should be at the same path where this program is present. So in case if it is a different path, we need to provide the complete absolute path. So fopen, then file name and the mode, like write mode. Printf enter data. Okay, now ch equal to getChar, end of file is not equal to end of file. We are putting the character into a file pointer. So until we reach to the end of file, we are putting a character. Okay, then we are closing the file, we are opening the file again, and then we are reading the file. So here we are writing into the file, here we are reading into the file, and once we are done, every time we are closing the file. So here is one more example of reading and writing from file. In this example, we are using fprintf and fscanf function. So what we are doing is we are declaring a structure, file pointer pnq. It opens it opens same file in two mode, one in an append mode, one in an read mode. then we are getting an input from user, and then we are appending or writing it into the file. See, we are writing fprintf in the pointer p. P is opens a file in the append mode. So we write the data into the file. We write it in this format, %s, %d. So it will write e.name, e.age, age. Then we are closing the file. Okay. Now this is the loop to read the file. So we are saying fscanf q. We are reading the file using this pointer, which is read only. We are reading in this format, name, age, and then printing the value to the console. So once we get end of file and get ch, you can ignore this. You should close the file also. Here in this program we don't have fclose function, but we should close the file also after doing the operations. So this is how fprintf and fscanf is used. This is one more example of reading from a file. We are declaring a file pointer equal to fopen. This is the absolute path of the file in a read mode. If the file pointer is null, that means we are having some error. That means file is not present, or we are having some problem in reading the file. We will not proceed any further. In case we are successful, we are reading from the file. We are reading an integer from the file and writing back that integer to the console and closing the file. It's a very simple program. This is one more program to do a file write operation, where we are declaring an integer variable file pointer, opening a file in a write mode, checking if file pointer is null, then we are exiting. We are getting an input from the user, enter n, scanf n, and then we are writing this n into the file and closing the pointer. It's a fairly simple example. So binary operations in the file, binary file IO. For binary file IO, we are using fread and fwrite functions. So functions fread and fwrite are used for reading from and writing to a file on a disk respectively in case of binary files. Okay. Functions fwrite takes 4 arguments. First argument is the address of the file address. Second is size of the data. Okay. Third is number of data or number of bytes to be read. Okay. And fourth is pointer to the file. So opening mode in a binary file are like this. These are the modes in which we can perform operations in the binary file: RB, RB plus, WB, WP plus, AB, AB plus. The only difference between opening mode on a text and binary file is that B is appended to the to indicate that it is binary file. So in the text file we are having mode like R, R plus, W, W plus and all. In binary mode we are appending a B to it. Okay. So fseek, there is one more function called fseek. Fseek function sets the file position indicator to a stream pointed by the stream. So fseek is nothing but it sets our offset or something like if suppose we are reading data from a stream and we want to skip some skip some bytes, we can use fseek to just jump to a particular position and start reading from it. This is the program through which you can use binary IO operation in a file. In this program we have declared a structure in the structure we have xyz. Okay, and a counter, a file pointer, and we are declaring one structure. We are initializing a file like .bin file. So all the binary files are like .exe, .bin, or which are having which are non-text files. So we are declaring a file pointer. Uh, File name is test.bin in a write mode. Okay, if not of file ptr my file, then what happens is that means there is some error in opening a file. So we can say unable to open a file, and we return it, or returns from the program. We don't go further. In case we are successful in opening the file, we are just running a loop from 1 to 10. We are initializing the x value to the counter, and then we do fwrite operation. We are providing the address like what we want to write. We want to write some structure into the file, size of the structure, and number of number, like we want to write only one structure. We Here one means only one space, or uh, only one memory segment is allocated which can accommodate the complete structure and pointer file. So in this case we are just writing the complete structure to the file, and then once we are done, we are closing it. So this is the operation that we can do in the binary file. So this is file IO is very basic thing in C programming, where we used to do some persistence, and we want to store something. And the operations in file are also fairly simple. We can perform read, write, close, open, and the combination of these operations we can do. Uh, Please try all these examples on your own, whatever I have explained, to get more and more understanding of how file works. So this brings us to the end of this session. I hope you enjoyed this session.
I'm sure you enjoyed learning from this video. Please like the video, and if you have any doubts regarding this video, please comment us in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more such informative videos. Do look out for other related videos in our playlist. For more information, visit our website now. Keep learning with Intellipaat.